to address the following critical issues. 1, runaway high cost of living and increased tax burden coupled with high level of unemployment. The escalating cost of living in the country has made life unbearable for millions of Kenyans, with many struggling to afford basic necessities. This crisis is compounded by the increased tax burden, which has eroded the disposable income of a majority of working Kenyans, and the rising prices that have worsened the plight of the most vulnerable. Mr. President, Kenyans are hurting economically. We call upon your government to act swiftly to address these challenges and provide the much needed relief to citizens. Number 2, transition from NHIF to SHIF and SHA. The transition from the National Hospital Insurance Fund to the Social Health Insurance Fund / Authority has been fraught and compounded with challenges. This change was meant to be the beginning of a major transformation towards universal health coverage. Instead, it has left many Kenyans without functional health insurance covers, forcing them to dig deeper into their pockets to access health care at a time of significant economic hardship. A sick population cannot be expected to meaningfully contribute to national development. The government must urgently and systematically look into the transitional process to ensure all Kenyans have access to affordable and reliable health care services. Number 3, lecturer strike in public universities. We are glad that recent public university lecturer strike was resolved. We recommend that a solution to address grievances of employees in all sectors of our country be found to avert such disruptions in the future. We implore on government to take urgent steps to stabilize educational institutions, which is critical to the nation's future. This includes addressing the new university funding model coupled with the financial struggles being experienced in many public universities across this country. Number 4, impending crisis in transition to grade 9. Still in the education sector, the competence-based curriculum, CBC transition to grade 9 is facing an imminent crisis. With less than 50 days left before the January deadline, the government has only managed to construct 5,000 classrooms, from what we are told, out of the required 16,000. This lack of preparedness threatens to derail the education of thousands of children in this country. The government must prioritize this transition to avert a national education disaster. 5, reconstitution of the IEBC. The delay in reconstituting the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, is an issue that must be addressed urgently to avoid unnecessary anxiety and speculations in regard to the 2027 elections. We are also aware of a section of Kenyans who are left out without representation in this country. This denies citizens their constitutional right to representation and exposes the country to risks of instability, as experienced in past election disputes. We do not want this to recur. We therefore demand that the selection process be expedited to restore confidence in the electoral process. Number 6, corruption and accountability. Further, we note with great concern that corruption continues to undermine our development and erode public trust. The government's failure to decisively punish corrupt officials and recover stolen public funds is unacceptable. There seems to be a general feeling from Kenyans that the top leadership is involved in corruption, and that's why it is condoning this evil and shielding those who are found culpable, which may not be the case. It is time to walk the talk and be seen to slay the dragon of corruption in our country. Bold action is needed to restore integrity and confidence in governance and ensure justice for all citizens. Number 7, national unity. The recent heated political events have left the nation deeply polarized. For example, what happened in Moranga. This should not be repeated. The president must prioritize fostering unity and reconciliation. It's a symbol of unity in this country. Is it possible for all political rallies and early campaigns to be stopped at this time to avoid what we saw in Moranga and some other places? It is imperative to bridge the widening divisions in society. We are one people. And our leadership need to lead the country towards harmony and inclusivity. Number 8, unfulfilled promises. During the campaign time, the president promised Kenyans a lot of things. The expectations of Kenyans were raised. The reality is that all could not be fulfilled at once. We advise, as the clergy, the president, if possible, to avoid making more promises at this time, and instead focus in prioritizing flagship projects at those areas that are closer to the hearts of Kenyans, and focus on delivering results of achievements. At this time, we need to have a scorecard of what has been achieved. Number 9, insecurity. Of late, there have been reported abductions and killing of citizens in this country. There's been killing of many ladies, the femicide issue, which is a major concern to all of us. The people responsible of all these killings have not been brought to book. We ask the government to fast track the investigations and bring the culprits to justice to alleviate a feeling by the citizens that the security apparatus are involved. The government should be careful and alert at all times not to adopt globalist policies and practices that jeopardize the morality and erode our national values and principles that we have enjoyed as a nation. In other words, there are foreign policies in one way or the other that sometimes are sneaked slowly into this country. We ask our leadership to be alert and be vigilant. Finally, we continue to urge all Kenyans to pray for the president and his administration, particularly in their efforts to fulfill their promises to Kenyans. On our part as church leaders, we remain available for spiritual support and collaborative engagements with government with a view to tackling perennial challenges affecting our people. It's our prayer that we shall remain united as a nation in purpose, hopeful in spirit, and steadfast in our dedication to building a nation characterized by peace, justice, and prosperity as enshrined in our national anthem.